You can be watching someone else on social media. They've already done all of these foundational stuff that you haven't done yet. And because of that, it's going to make it 10 times harder for you to get to where they are.
Welcome back to Duo On Air. I'm Abby.
And I'm Courtney.
And we're the ex-agency turned entrepreneurial team that puts the Duo in Duo Collective. Our boutique organic marketing agency specializes in SEO, social media strategy, and branding.
We're an everyday pair of business besties / marketing experts obsessed with helping our community learn more about what it takes to run a business.
Which is why on Duo On Air, we're not holding anything back. We're giving you all the info we know about how to grow your business organically so you can be the confident CEO you were made to be.
And how to navigate life as a small business owner.
Whether it's on your own or with your best friend by your side, so grab your coffee
or your mimosa, we don't judge,
and settle in for a quick value-packed episode of Marketing Tips.
Welcome back to the Duo On Air podcast. This is episode number 199. And today we are going to talk about something that all of us have felt, and it is the new biz overwhelm, or just the small biz overwhelm that we all experience. So we recently sent out a survey, and a lot of you had to say this exact thing, that you didn't know where to start. So whether that meant in our universe of all of the content that we have for Duo Collective that we serve to you guys, or just business in general and getting started with marketing, which it was interesting to hear this, because I think we didn't realize that sometimes people get overwhelmed when they get into our universe, because we've been doing this for years and we are almost to our 200th episode. So I can only imagine if somebody did land on us as, somebody that's starting a business or new to our universe, they would probably look at that and be like, where do I start? Which episode do I listen to first?
And where do I fall? Not even just in business, but where do I fall into in your universe?
And what's most relevant for me? And, what do I need to help grow my business from you? So it was kind of an eye-opener for us. So we thought we would talk about it in today's episode. And we have also built a free quiz for you to kind of help you on that next right step. So before we kind of dive into some of that and the 4 things that we're going to take you through of the zones that you could kind of be stuck in, we want to talk a little bit why we all feel overwhelmed, especially new business owners. So there is no rule book for entrepreneurship. It is literally kind of an S show or the Wild Wild West. You don't just go to school to be an entrepreneur, and entrepreneurship can mean so many different things for so many different small businesses. So, there's not that book that's out there that's book of this is the
Here's
dummies.
How you start a business. I mean, there probably is entrepreneurship for dummies, but
I can't imagine that entrepreneurship is so broad. It's tough to really nail it down. Too much information and zero prioritization. And I feel like that's something that we struggle with a lot. There's so much information out there. A lot of it is something that just things that we don't prioritize, or you kind of feel like everything needs to be prioritized and there's all of this information. So that really leads to a huge amount of overwhelm because there's lack of clarity. There's no lack of capability. So we just get overwhelmed and sometimes we just shut down. Everyone is screaming online with different pieces of advice. We've got people that are like, you need to post to Instagram 3 times a day and be in stories 17 hours a day and use 15 hashtags. And then you got some people that are like, you need to avoid Instagram altogether. Yeah. And it's very confusing because
be
you're
on
like,
LinkedIn, be on TikTok,
right.
Start an email list.
Yeah, it's just you don't know where to live or who to listen to and what is the right advice. So that gets very overwhelming and complicated. The comparison game, that makes it worse. What you see online isn't necessarily where you should be, and you are always playing the comparison game or feeling like you're not quite as good enough, or you need to be like so-and-so in order to make a successful life for yourself, or, we're landing into the imposter syndrome. So that makes it really hard as well. Feeling like you have to do everything to be successful. You need to be on email, on social, on having a podcast, writing a book, being a stay-at-home mom while also, teaching your kids, and like you just feel like
you need to homeschool, make sourdough bread, and
and
also
run a
run that
successful
webinar, and also, delegate and grow a
right.
team and be a good wife and make dinner
And walk your dog. And yeah, it's like you feel like you have to do everything to be successful. And that actually breaks us. That's not true. Not knowing what actually moves the needle or who to trust. And then comparing your beginning to someone else's middle, which I think is what a lot of us do. And we need to actually like look at what we need, where we are in our business versus looking at somebody else and being like, wow, I should be there, because they aren't at the same level that we are, at the same phase or stage that we are at.
Yeah, that comparison game can really get you. And I feel like a lot of this of like, if you are feeling overwhelmed in these kind of ways, sometimes social media can be a really awful place to be.
Yes.
And you should just maybe shut her down.
It's okay to take a break from
Yeah.
social media.
Yes. So we're going to walk through this. By the end of this episode, if you're still feeling a little bit unsure on where to start, or you just want to see if the quiz puts you in the right bucket, like, oh, I think I'm in this one, but let's see. And who doesn't love a quiz? So the idea with this is to kind of build you a personalized roadmap, not only of what content you can digest within the Duo universe. So like what podcasts were built specifically for you and your phase of business, what freebies are there, what resources do we have available for you? Because we serve brand new business owners and people just like us in this like scaling growth, maybe agency world. And because of that, there's different pieces of content all over the place, different resources, different offerings. So we wanted to make sure that you felt like you had a roadmap of like, here, like we see you, this is what we would recommend. If we were sitting down at a coffee shop right now and you told me who you were and what you needed, I would be like, this is what you should listen to, or this is what you should read.
Yeah. So we're actually, this is kind of fun. It's exciting.
I know, it is fun. So the biggest thing is like a lot of times, and when we saw this too, of like, I'm overwhelmed, I don't know where to start. These are some of the biggest issues that we see. So one is you don't have a clear focus. We don't know what we're doing right now. Or maybe it's not that you don't have a clear focus. It's that you have too many focuses.
Yes.
Like everything is high priority. Two is you don't know what stage you're in. You don't know what zone you are like kind of bucketed in. And because of that, you don't know what to work on. So that can feel really frustrating because again, that imposter syndrome, you can be watching someone else on social media tell you what they're doing and this is how they're growing, but not realizing that they're 2 phases ahead of you and they've already done all of these foundational stuff that you haven't done yet. And because of that, it's going to make it 10 times harder for you to get to where they are. So it might feel like you're failing when in reality, there's just steps that you're missing in between.
You're just growing.
Yeah, you're just growing. 3, you're trying to fix everything at once. You're trying to do absolutely everything. I know we've all done this. I literally get to the end of the day sometimes and I'm like, dang it, I didn't do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, I can either get up and do it or I can just say, nope, save that for a different day.
Yes.
Which is okay. And again, you're mixing growth tasks with foundation tasks. So coming back to what stage you're in, there's so many times where, and this is something that I'm even tackling right now a little bit with some of my mentorship students, is we're talking about like how to scale. How do I sell more projects? And how do I get more clients? But we haven't talked about, okay, are you actually profitable? Are the offerings that you're offering right now profitable? Do you have capacity to take more clients right now? Because sometimes the answer to that is no.
Right.
And then we have to go back to the drawing board and say, okay, how can we make sure that this is profitable, sustainable, that you can actually take more clients and that you're actually like getting joy out of this? So sometimes we're skipping ahead to this like scale mindset when we actually need to be taking it back to the foundations.
Yep.
So let's jump into it. We have 4 buckets here that we're going to walk through. Again, the quiz will take you through it, but highly recommend listening to these buckets first and kind of seeing like, oh, this is where I think I am. And then take the quiz and see if it matches up.
And then tell
let
us
know.
because yes, that's exciting. So the first bucket here is the one where we kind of all start. I'm just getting my feet wet. So this is the phase where you're learning, you're figuring things out, and you're just trying to get the basics right. So who is this necessarily? It's for the entrepreneur who is still defining their audience and offers. So kind of right when you start out, it is like, what am I doing? Who am I, who's my audience? What am I offering them? This is for the entrepreneur who is unsure how branding or SEO might apply to them. So if you come into our universe and you don't know much about branding or SEO, or you know that you need them, or you're unsure about them, or you even have the question, what comes first, branding or SEO? Because we have a specific podcast about that. It would be for somebody who's kind of unsure about those things. Someone who's feeling totally overwhelmed by where to start. We have been there. We have felt this 6-ish years ago when we started. Obviously, it's a really exciting phase. It's a very honeymoon phase for your business and your brand, but it can quickly become overwhelming. It's very exciting because you're kind of putting yourself out there and launching this brand new baby that you've just built. But then you kind of sit back and you're like, oh my gosh, what do I do now? I've got a business name, I've got the LLC, I've got, any of those back end things done, but do I have a brand yet? Do I have a website yet? Where should I be marketing myself? Should I be focusing on social? Should I be building an email list? You kind of get overwhelmed by all of the options that you have. So really honing in on what makes sense for you and where to start is super important in those first few months of starting a business. And then somebody who is searching for clarity and a simple plan without that overwhelm. They want to not feel overwhelmed because, starting a new business is kind of overwhelming to begin with. So those are kind of the buckets of who that entrepreneur is. So what matters most right now is building the strong foundation, not fancy marketing. We are so key on building that strong foundation. And obviously we like to build it organically because that's what we do. So building your strong foundation organically within your brand, for your SEO, for your website is so important because at this point you don't have the dollars to put into building ads, and you need that strong foundation in order for your audience to find you, to understand what you do, to bring clarity to your services or your products, and not focusing on all of those other fancy marketing tactics that could lead them to you. You really need that strong foundation for your brand first.
It's really, really hard to sell something when you don't know what you're selling.
Yes.
So, like, actually understanding what it is that you are selling and why and how it makes people feel and like what's all included and why the price is the price that it is. Like, there's so many things that need to be thought about before you can actually confidently sell something. So, if you're still struggling, like, say, for example, you're in this phase where you've organically been getting clients or sales or whatever it is because people have wanted what it is that you can do, what your talent is, what your like superpower is. But now you're at the point where you're like, okay, but like, is this what I actually want to do? And am I actually like, how am I going to sell this to other people? Because, I've just been doing this because people have been asking me.
Right.
So it's like actually creating something that's sellable.
And that fills your bucket.
Yeah.
Not just because people are necessarily asking you for it.
Yeah.
Because we kind of fell into that too when we first started. Like we could do a lot of things, but did we like
Social
to do
media
those
was
things?
one of those.
Yeah, and so we dropped it. So
People wanted help with social media, and we said, sure.
yeah, because we knew how to do it, but we didn't like to do it. So, and that might be something you learn along the way too, and that's okay. But just something to think about when you're starting to. And then what also matters most right now is just kind of learning the basics and taking one tiny step at a time. It is a very exciting time, and you kind of want to do all of the things right away. But by learning the basics first of your brand, your services, your offerings, and how to, build that strong foundation and then taking tiny steps at a time, you're going to set yourself up for such stronger growth opportunities. And there's going to be so much more clarity because you didn't just rush into everything at once and immediately feel overwhelmed or like you have to keep everything going. And then you're just going to feel burnout way quicker than you would normally.
And this is the DIY phase. And there is nothing wrong with that.
No,
Like,
it's scrappy.
yeah,
It's a
like
scrappy phase.
DIYing things can be really smart. And I think that's kind of what we focus on within our universe in this phase too, is that you can DIY your brand strategy. You can DIY some of your visuals. You just need expert advice on why are you choosing those colors? And
Mm-hmm.
do those colors have good contrast for accessibility?
Mm-hmm.
And do you have more than just a logo? Like, think
Mm-hmm.
about other things for your personality. Like, you just need guidance.
Right.
And then, yes, you can DIY it. And is it going to be perfect? Probably not, but
No.
that's okay. Like, in this phase, it's okay to do that.
Yeah.
And then you get to the next phase and you can hire some help.
Exactly. Or is your brand name a very competitive name out there that if you Google it, you are never going to have the opportunity to rank on
Yeah.
page one?
Please Google your names, not just like your
Yes.
business name, but like a product you want to
And
offer
make sure
or
you can spell it
a
and make
course.
sure
Yeah.
that's, it's all things like that too. It is, they seem like such little things, but they are so important for building that
Yeah.
foundation of your brand.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's talk about bucket number 2. So, number 2, my business exists, but it doesn't feel like me. And we hear this all the time from a lot of our clients, especially when we're doing like rebrands.
I mean, this was us. This was us.
Yeah.
2 years
A
ago.
few years ago, it was like our business didn't feel like us. Just from a I
I would
would
say
say
from a
personality, voice, strategy was solid, but like
visually.
yeah, visually it wasn't
Yeah.
us anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of like what happens when you move from bucket 1 to bucket 2. Like you've DIY'd it, you've scrapped it together, and so now something feels off. This is someone who is showing up, but there's a brand, but they're in a brand that they've outgrown.
Mm-hmm.
You're inconsistent online because your visuals and your voice just don't feel aligned and it doesn't feel like you. So if you're sitting here like, I don't want to post on Instagram, I don't want to show up in stories, I don't want to send someone my website because it's just like,
Mm-hmm.
it's not who I am.
You're not excited about it anymore.
Yes. Maybe you're doing SEO, but you just don't understand it. You don't understand how it works. And so you're doing SEO
Shooting in the dark.
Yeah. And maybe you're just feeling stuck. You're craving a refresh. You're craving some guidance from someone on the outside. Like there's so many times where we just did this today where we were creating something. We're like, let's ask someone else real quick
Yeah,
because
we're too in it.
We're too in it.
Yeah.
So you need some outside perspective. So when you're in this bucket, what matters most is that you need some clarity in your brand identity, your messaging, and maybe even your visuals. If something is feeling off, you don't want to share your brand, your business with anyone, like regardless of whatever it is, but you're just hesitant to share it. It probably just doesn't feel like you, and your brand business hasn't grown with you. And you also need to focus on aligning how you show up and who you are today. Like really lean into it. So I'd say, especially in the entrepreneurship world, you go through so many seasons of life. Like whether it's like you just did this coming out of college, then maybe you find a partner or you move in with someone or you get married, then all of a sudden maybe you are starting a family or maybe you get a dog or maybe you move or maybe you move to a different country or you're remote or you're like you experience so many life transitions, good and bad. And you have to figure out how you're going to show up and how you want to show up. And I think you can either lean into that or you can hide it. And I think a lot of times when people lean into like, oh, I don't want to share anything personal in my business, like I'm going to hide it, that's sometimes when you start to feel stuck because you're like, I feel like a fraud. I feel like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. So there's so many opportunities where you can bring in your personality, you can bring your voice, you can evolve and transition. And there's someone I've followed. So this is just like an influencer example for just to give you an idea of like someone who's transitioned through life. So someone I follow, she used to be a travel influencer. I followed her way back when I also wanted to like go into travel. So if you've been following our story for a long time, you know that I started in the SEO world blogging for a travel blogger. And so I would blog 3 times a week.
For pennies.
It was insane. For literal pennies. I cried. But I also I learned a lot and I loved blogging. But I was like, oh, I'm gonna go on trips with her. I'm gonna be a travel blogger. It's gonna be so awesome.
And now look at you.
And look at me now. I'm very
You're famous.
stuck in Minnesota. And so I was following someone who also was a travel blogger. Ever since then, she has switched from travel blogging to biohacking. Now she's like a crazy biohacker Two, she just had a baby. And so now she's talking about all of that stuff with like motherhood. And it is wild to watch someone transition with 1 million+ followers, transition into completely different pivots. It's wild, but not lose anyone. Like, I'm sure she's lost people along the way who aren't interested, but it's not like you're sitting there watching her follower count just descend because she
Right.
pivoted as a human. Like, she leaned into it. She didn't stick with travel because that's where all of her people were from. She evolved because she evolved as a human. And I think your business can do that too.
Yeah.
So, learning how your business can evolve and then understanding that as you evolve, your audience might evolve too. And then how can you restructure that? So that was a big tangent.
And I think also being like giving yourself permission to talk about your life too. Like your brand is your life. And if it's not, there might be some sort of a disconnect there too, because we are very authentic here in our emails, just anywhere that you're going to find us. And that's just because we don't have anything to hide. We make mistakes and we try to, learn from them and teach you guys about them. And we're also going to tell you about our lives because that's how we run our business. Like we have to be authentic and real. And, sometimes if we're not showing up in your inbox for whatever reason, it's because we're lifing. And like we want our audience.
Life be life and laugh.
Yeah,
week,
we want to be, very, vulnerable and honest with our audience because we want them to see that, right?
Yeah.
Like we're not trying to hide anything. And I think sometimes when people try to hide what's going on in their real lives, there is that disconnect. And then, like Abby said, you feel kind of like a fraud. And then you're just kind of confused, like, well, what do I do now?
Yeah. It can be really hard to start. And like if you haven't been sharing things too, it can be really hard
To just start.
to get comfortable starting to share.
Yeah.
But I think that's where like you can take it back again to the foundations of your brand voice and your strategy and using that because that feels a little bit more professional to start sharing that and then learning how to adapt from there.
Yeah, exactly. So the third bucket here is I'm creating, but it's not connecting. So you're posting and you're posting and you're posting, or you're sending email after email after email, and nothing is happening. It's just like, I feel like we should insert cricket sound right here. So this person is, what you have to offer is solid, but insert crickets. Like you don't understand why nobody is biting. But you do know what you have to offer is solid. Like you have very solid services and you have proof. You're producing content regularly. You're seeing some traffic, but no leads. You're feeling stuck with messaging or your target audience, and you're wondering what's missing in your actual marketing. So, I feel like a lot of people have been there and you are like, what do I have to do? Do I have to burn it all down? Do I have to completely pivot? Do I have to change all of my services? And that is not necessarily true. So what matters the most right now for this individual is improving your visibility and your connection. So maybe there's some sort of a disconnect with how you're communicating with your audience, or maybe you're having visibility issues with certain content that you're creating. Maybe you're talking to the wrong audience. Maybe your audience has shifted a little bit. So creating content that aligns with what your audience actually needs, something that we do in this arena of our business is sending out, questionnaires to our audience and asking them for clarity on things or what it is that we might be missing or what it is that they crave. So sometimes that could be very helpful. And then strengthening your SEO, obviously that is always going to help with your visibility, and doing a little bit more storytelling, which is also going to help with your connection. So if we shift into creating stronger visibility and speaking to our audience more from a storytelling perspective, you are going to start to connect with them better and easier, and you're going to start to connect with the audience that is what they're looking for and what they're craving from you.
Yeah.
So this is where your confidence can take a hit, but your momentum is so close. And I think this is the person that I think it really does feel like, wow, I've built something so strong and I know that it works, but where's the disconnect? What's happening in this moment right now within our business?
Yeah. Yeah. And honestly, it could just be your visibility. Like
It could.
the right people just aren't finding you for some reason, and it's digging into that.
It's not that you're bad at what you do. It's just you're
Yeah.
not reaching the right audience.
Yeah, for sure. So the last bucket here is I've hit my limit and it's time to bring in the experts.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. This is, you are juggling too much. You need support. You're wearing all the hats, you're dropping some, you are growing and you're overwhelmed. You know that SEO and brand are going to make a big difference in your business or having a new website, but you have zero bandwidth to actually update it. Maybe you're sitting on a website that has, 5 pages and you're like, I have had this idea to restructure my website or to add this page or to add this freebie or create this resource, but I just physically can't do it because I have no time. And you're ready to invest. You have the spending dollars, but you just need to find help that you can trust. And that's kind of the biggest thing. And if you hear those sirens in the background right now, that's like what's happening right now. We planned
It was like
that.
perfect timing.
It was perfect timing.
Cue
We planned that.
the sirens.
I know. Cue the sirens. It's time to bring in the experts. So what's going to matter right now is delegating. We do have a ton of content around making your first hire,
Yes.
what you should outsource, what you should automate. And that's kind of what we're talking about here is like you need to protect your time and your sanity and you need help. So
This is like what do you want to call it? Like the burnout buster or something? Like you don't want to burn out. You've built something super strong and you know that it works, but you need help.
yeah, you need experts. And I think the hard part sometimes when you're in this bucket is you don't know what you need to outsource first. Like where should your dollars go? What's the most important thing for your business right now to see the return? Like what's the ROI? So this is something where you're overwhelmed because you're not in that DIY stage anymore. You can't do it. Like you need to outsource to the experts.
Yes.
So these are the 4 buckets. And if you are feeling overwhelmed, whether it be like our universe or just in general with business, you likely fall into one of these 4 stages. I'm not saying these stages are perfect. There's many micro moments.
But
for
as
sure.
we were going through all of them, I like vividly remember each time we were in it.
Each
We've been in each of these phases.
Oh yeah, every single phase.
Yeah.
And that's normal. These are normal. Also, like everyone goes through these.
I was gonna say you kind of should. If you don't, then
Yeah.
you're a unicorn.
Yeah. That just means that and it's not that you didn't go through the stage, it's that you knew what to do next.
Yeah.
So like you knew that you were approaching the next stage and you
Maybe
needed
you were
to
a
hire.
bit smarter than we are.
Yeah, right. You went to an Ivy League college. I don't know. But I think like it's a normal to hit these stages. It's normal to hit plateaus. All of that stuff is normal. So feeling this overwhelm is normal. Everyone feels it. So you don't need to feel like you're doing something wrong. It's a natural part of growth in business.
Yes.
And that's okay. So the big thing is just kind of figuring out what stage you're in. What stage am I in? And then what action do I need to take? And so that is really why we created this quiz. So you can go to duocollective.com/start here. We'll also put the link in the show notes. I'm very curious what bucket you think you fell into.
And then what bucket you are
I know.
after the quiz.
What bucket you are in. So after you take the quiz, it'll drop you into a bucket and it'll drop you into a little roadmap of what to do next and what to focus on. So you can kind of have your own little start here moment because you're not in all of these stages at the same time.
No, thank goodness.
Nor do you have to consume all of the content that we have for you at the same time. Please don't. You will like burn out very, very fast.
Yes.
You really just need the clarity. So let's start 2026 with some simple, sustainable growth and a real plan for you so that you don't have to feel this WTF, where do I start?
If you like this episode, please be sure to share it with a friend and subscribe so you don't miss any new episodes dropping every Monday. Plus, if you haven't already, please go ahead and leave us a review and don't hesitate to share any new episode ideas. We absolutely love hearing from you and creating this content for you. See you next week.